You know what, Sam?
What?
The grade 8 chase has been completed.
Yes, it has. It has indeed, Sam, and we will get to that. For the record, for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, yeah, we're not wearing our jerseys because, well, let's just say our AC is out, and we're currently running at what 81 degrees.
Yeah, 81 degrees inside the apartment, so we decided to be more comfortable.
Yes, because we are burning. But for those who are just listening to us, at least you don't have to see us without our hurricane jerseys that we usually put on for those who are watching us on YouTube. But Sam, playoffs are just around the corner, and we like to do whatever we can to get hurricane fans to seats. And how do we do that, Sam?
Yep, use SeatGeek. So you can use our promo code with SeatGeek, which is Keniac Report. The playoffs are coming up. And you know what? I think everyone wants to go to a Hurricanes playoff game, the loudest house in the National Hockey League. But say if you don't live in North Carolina, you want to go watch the Minnesota Wild, you want to go watch the um, maybe the Montreal Canadiens if they get in. Or if you want to watch the Canadians down the stretch, there's a lot of teams in that bubbled up group who are chasing a playoff spot. If you want to go to one of those games and watch them chase a playoff spot, guess what? Promo code Keniac Report will get you $20 off your first purchase. It does not have to just be the Carolina Hurricanes or hockey. Baseball season just started. Use it there.
Yes, exactly. It has started. But Sam, another thing too is remember we do have a link for donations. So if you feel like you want to donate, remember there's a link for it in our descriptions on both on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. And remember, hit like and subscribe so you never miss another episode. Hit that notification bell if you're watching us on YouTube. And if you're just listening to us, please rate, review, and subscribe because that stuff really does help us out. So, Sam, boy, I believe, what was it, like 20 minutes ago before we start recording this episode? We witnessed history,
Mm-hmm.
and that was part of your one-liner. And Ovechkin, I mean, I might not like him, but boy, what an achievement has he made.
Yeah, greatest goal scorer of all time, passes Wayne Gretzky for most regular season goals, and that is a quite an accomplishment. So, congratulations to the Washington Capitals and Alexander Ovechkin on becoming the greatest goal scorer of all time. It was a good ceremony, great that he got to do it. First goal against Ilya Sorokin of his career,
Yep,
so it's kind of funny
exactly.
that it was that one. So it is what it is. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. Glad it was not against us.
Oh, I am so happy it wasn't against us because Sam, you and I were thinking. I mean, well, you started the thinking, of course, of them possibly healthy scratching Ovechkin for this game so they could do it at home, but they didn't do that. Ovechkin probably just wanted to get it out of the way with. But I think the real test for Ovechkin, Sam, is going to be in the playoffs to see if he
Yeah,
can keep up with that intensity.
yeah. We'll see. Last year was you saw that he completely fell off the whole earth last year, so it's just a matter of whether that happens again this year for him or not.
There you go. You got that thing off
Yeah, I
your
know. I
arm.
saw it was the world.
But what's funny though, Sam, is I mean, I was just chilling in my room watching Star Wars, and then you're on the couch and you're like, "Oh, Caps are on the power play," and I forgot that they were playing today against the Islanders, and Ovechkin was playing. And Sam, that was the great time you turned it on because he scored like literally, like what, 10 seconds into that power play or something? Because it was pretty quick.
Yeah, it was really quick. I think the Islanders had cleared it once. Caps brought it back in. It was pretty quick after that. Ovechkin shot it and beat his buddy Sorokin.
Yep.
Russian on
His
Russian crime. Russian on Russian crime.
Russians are competitive against each other, Sam.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
yep. But congrats, to Ovechkin. You can tell he was so happy, and it was funny too because I mean, they still had lots of time left to complete the game. They decided right then and there they're going to have the ceremony. So it was pretty cool seeing Wayne Gretzky there. Gary Bettman obviously was there. Ovechkin's family was there. Like, wow, everybody.
Yep.
Ovechkin
Hmm.
even spoke. So,
Yeah, he did. He did.
so yeah, congrats to him, definitely. And Sam, the other thing I wanted to get to because I had it in our show notes, even though they did win against us. Uh, but we'll talk about them a bit here because I don't think it should go unnoticed. They did win against us, but Boston before that, Sam was on a 10-game skid.
Yep.
And that's to me is a little bit something of a team that does still have Pasternak. You have Charlie McAvoy, you have Jeremy Swayman. I mean, this team's kind of fallen off the cliff.
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
sure
They have. They're the second. They are also officially eliminated from the playoffs. Uh, Flyers hold up. The Flyers and Bruins are tied for last place in the conference.
Interest, interesting. But with Boston, Sam, I mean, it's just interesting how much they've plateaued off. Yes, they won against us, Sam, but I'm sure Boston fans will probably agree that that one win doesn't really make them forgive Boston for losing 10 games in a row in any fashion, whether it was overtime loss or regulation loss. I'm sure Boston fans are kind of disappointed, but some of them are probably like, you know what? They need to go into a rebuild anyways. And I know a Boston fan who thinks that.
Yeah, it's time for them to go into rebuild, and I think trading Marchand shows that they're ready to commit to that. It doesn't mean Marchand doesn't resign in Boston anyway. He's a free agent. He can come back to Boston if he wants to.
Exactly. But there are other players that they could trade to try and get some draft capital. Uh, to me, a former Hurricane who's been playing very good there is Morgan Geeky. He has like 20 something goals.
Yep, younger player too, so that's a good piece that they'll have for a while as well. Build around, my guess is they'll build around McAvoy and Pasternak, but we'll have to wait and see. They might choose to move one of those two pieces in order to build up their young core. I doubt it, but my expectation is it's Pasternak, McAvoy, and Swayman are their core that they'll build around.
Yeah, I think so too. But if they do trade, let's say if they do trade Pasternak, Sam, I could see Carolina being in on something like that
Sure,
because they want
I
to
don't think
go
it
for
happens.
those. I don't think it happens either. I did check his contract. He has a full no movement clause, and I mean, he has pretty much, I think, several years left on his contract. So we'll see what Boston does heading into the draft. But that's pretty much it, I would say, for NHL stuff, Sam. But for the
A couple of
Hurricanes,
teams, some more playoff clinches happened. Dallas, Colorado, and LA on the West, as well as Toronto, Tampa, and Florida in the East have all clinched. New Jersey and Ottawa are on the cusp of completing that task. And Montreal is 4 points ahead of the Rangers in the standings for the wild card two. They're tied for in points. Montreal completely controls their destiny. Um, it looks so Columbus fell out of it. Really, Detroit kind of fell out of it. The Islanders have fallen out of it. If the Canadians are the favorite to make the playoffs, and good for them.
yes, they have a really, really good team with Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, Slavovsky. I
You're
mean,
Slavkovsky.
Slavkovsky. Yeah, sorry, it's kind of hard to pronounce that name. And they have a good young rookie on defense, Sam, who
Yeah,
is
Brad
probably going
Hayton.
to. Yep, I think he's going to win the Calder.
I think
Don't
he
you think?
should. I think he should. That's who I'd vote for.
Yeah, I'd
I
vote
think
for
it
him
matters.
too.
I think it matters that they've succeeded as much as they have and made the playoffs.
It really does. It really does. And I love St. Louis. I think he's a great coach
I
for a
agree.
team like Montreal. So yeah, uh, but that's how the playoffs picture is looking like in the standings. But Sam, Carolina, they have things that they need to deal with, and one of them, Sam, because I think it's really starting to add up. It might add up even more because we don't have a definitive answer on KK yet. But you have KK out. you have Jordan Stahl out, and you have Sveshnikov out.
Yep.
And I mean, that's not only you have Carey out as well. So it's just you have lots of players out, Sam. And like I don't care if you're the Hurricanes or another team or not, when you are facing that much injuries, it's eventually going to hurt your team. And
Yep.
I do think that is a part of us seeing the two losses against Detroit and Boston. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a reality. We have a lot of core pieces that aren't playing right now. And again, I think these games are pretty meaningless at this point. I think after the loss in Detroit and the loss against Boston, that pretty much solidified we're not catching Washington because
No, we're
Washington
not.
won one of those games. So that's pretty much over at this point. But I mean, it's
Here's the thing: they're still playing games, and I hate to be like Mr. Negative or something, but I mean, I think if you look at it from a larger scheme of things, yes, these games probably don't matter, and I would agree with that. But the reality is, they're still playing games, and I think for
yeah.
a player's mentality, you still need to go out there and try to win it.
No,
Can't use
absolutely. You go out there and try to win, but this is the time of year where if Stoll's not 100%, don't play him. If Svech isn't 100%, don't play him. Like this is your opportunity to rest guys and make sure they're healthy. Like Chatfield didn't play. Chatfield did not play against Boston, right? Let's make sure he's healthy. Orlov didn't play the night before. Let's make sure they're healthy, right? You know, if they need some nights off, let's start giving these guys opportunity, right?
yeah.
to do that.
Did they say anything about Sheffield, or did they just like
It was
healthy
just that
scratch him?
he just wasn't well.
He wasn't well. Okay, well, I mean, I probably feel a little, a little bit better, even though again, I don't like seeing any injuries. But if you do have an injury on the defensive side of things, at least you have Scott Morrow and Sam. Another thing too is I remember you telling me SKA plays today,
I'm
which is
pulling
the
that up right now, actually.
yeah. I thought you might be pulling that up, but that's
Yeah,
the
that's
team
what I'm
that
doing. Hold
Nikishkin
on,
is
hold
on.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Let's see here. They're playing right now. 4-2 in
Are
the
they
third.
winning or losing?
Hold on. I'm trying to pull it up.
Okay. But as Sam is trying to give us an update on that game, remember if SKA loses, then there is an opportunity there for not Svet, Nikishkin to come over to possibly play with the Hurricanes. We'll see if they actually play him. I think if they play him, most likely it would be before the playoffs start. I can't see a Brindamore uh, giving Nikishkin playtime unless there's injury in the playoffs. So it's going to be
4-2
interesting.
because he's with SKA, right?
Yes, he is.
Yep. The Moscow team is winning 4-2 at the moment.
Okay, so they have a very good chance of winning against SKA. So Sam, we could see Nikishin coming over here very soon. For those of you who are probably listening to us the day this releases, obviously you'll know the results by then. But as we're recording, they are currently down 4-2. So,
I'm
Sam,
trying
I
to.
mean,
I've
yeah.
got it up now. The game might even end.
Oh, it might even end. Oh,
I think.
interesting.
I think it's close to ending. Actually,
Oh, it is. Okay.
they're in the
Well,
third period.
I thought you said there were like 13 minutes left.
I
What
can't really
happened there?
tell.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand really how the KHL website isn't very good.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that game progresses. But obviously, as you guys are listening, you'll know the result as already. But Sam, if Nikishin does come over, that provides even more depth on defense. So let's say you have two players hurt. Well, you know what? Scott Morrow and Nikishin can fill those players in.
Yep.
And that'd be very interesting to see because I think that'd be a preview of what we'll see next season. because I do think Morrow and Nikishin will be NHL players coming next season. Obviously you have Orlov and Burns who are on expiring contracts.
Yep.
You probably think they're going to be replacing them on the blue line. So it's going to be an interesting blue line to see if it gets to that point. So I'm guessing you're still looking at the time.
Uh, I'm looking. Well, I am, and I'm also just keeping up with the Hurricanes. Posted something about Ovechkin.
Oh, they did?
They posted a video from Orlov.
Oh, really? From Orlov? Oh, because he was his former teammate. That
Yep.
makes sense. Well, good.
And yeah, I'm keeping an eye on the game with the Rush, because if it ends here, we'll announce that it's ending, and that officially we can the watch for Nikishin. I'll check it again in a few minutes, but they are in the third period, so I'll check in a couple minutes and see where that's at.
Okay. But yeah, it's going to be interesting if Nikishin comes over here or not. He definitely will. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Yep.
So I think that's pretty much it. We have addressed the injuries against Fetch, Stahl. They're hurt. And I mean, I think we did see, wasn't Carrier on the ice recently in a yellow no contact jersey? So that's a good sign right there.
Yes.
I don't think there's been any updates on Stahl or Svetch. So
they were. It sounds like Svetch is precautionary at this point.
It's more precautionary. Okay. Well, we'll see how Svetch does in his recovery. I don't think he's had a good season, and I'm sure Sam, you would agree he hasn't had a good season.
Yes,
but hopefully after the injury he's having, he can come back into the playoffs and he can play the player that we know he can play, because there are flashes. He just is not consistent with it. That's the problem with Svetch. But Sam, that's pretty much it for Hurricanes talk and all the NHL stuff.
Dynamo just hit the empty net. It's now 5-2. So that game.
Okay, so it's basically Nikishkin watch. Then
we are officially on Alexander Nikishin watch. Officially.
Well, I hope he comes over soon, because I do think if he comes over before the regular season ends, I do think there is a decent chance of us seeing him play. But we'll see how that goes. And Sam, let's get to one of our sponsors, and then we'll recap the 2 losses at Detroit and Boston. This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going. That just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out, and games left for you to get in the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Bill Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. NHL and NHL team marks are the property of the NHL and its teams. NHL 2025, all rights reserved. All right, Sam, this is going to be a bit of a sadder episode than usual because we have to discuss two losses that the Hurricanes have had. And again, I mean, to me, the Detroit game, we'll go ahead and get to that now. I was willing to give Carolina some leeway if they lost just because they just played an emotional game
Yep.
against Washington. You're probably going to come out lethargic. The only issue I had was the Boston game. And yes, I did have an issue with that. But the Detroit game, Sam, in the first period, first it was Kachekov that was playing in nets. And I don't know about you, but this game, my eyes, or I would say my focus, was on how well Kachekov has played. Now,
Yeah, yeah. It's just
Kachekov,
really the only take because I think Carolina we didn't play very good against Detroit. I thought we played better against Boston, believe it or not, even though we didn't score. But once at the very end of the game, um, I think this game the concern was Kochetkov. I didn't think he was that good. I didn't think he was bad. He's been worse, even though he's allowed
he
less
has
goals.
been
He's been
worse.
worse. I thought this game was a total team breakdown in almost every facet of the game against the Red Wings, um, including the goaltender. So it was just one of those disappointing things.
Like the first goal, I mean, that was I believe it was Ben Chariot that
Sherratt,
scored, or Sherratt,
Ben
my bad.
Sherratt.
I knew I mispronounced that, dang it. But Ben Sherratt, he scored off of a rebound shot. And to me, that's something that Kachekov needs to have. Bad goal to allow. It's 1-0 Detroit. And then it's Casper scoring just to make it 2-0. And then we're like, oh boy, what's Carolina doing? Because here's the thing.
Yep.
I think offensively, Carolina, they've been doing pretty good. They've been getting chances. It's how they've been playing in front of Anderson and Kachekov these past two games. And defensively, they've been horrid.
Yep. It's just yeah. Defensively, I think the whole team has been pretty rough. Slavin's made some mistakes. Slavin most notably turned the puck over against Kane. So it's not it's not just the bottom pair. It's the top. It's in general defensively they're not looking the same.
Now, we did come back sort of against
Yes.
Detroit. I mean,
We
you have
did.
Blake scoring from Jarvis. I do like that line. I have stated my concerns before, stating that that could be a very small line. I don't know how. I don't know if I'd play that same line in the playoffs for a full series.
I would
Maybe
play
a
that
game or
line at
two.
home. I would play that line at home and then swap Blake or Jarvis with Svetch.
Or Hall.
On the road.
Or Hall.
You just want to put a bigger guy up on that first line on the road.
Yes, I agree. And I have actually advocated this, but I actually think I'd love to see a line with Hall, Aho, and Jarvis. Because I
Yeah.
think almost everybody would agree you can't split up Aho and Jarvis. You just can't.
Yep. Yep. I agree.
So I think Hall, Aho, Jarvis, it adds a little bit more weight, adds a little bit more beef to that line. And I think it could be very good because I think Hall has been doing very, very well.
Yeah, Hall's been excellent on the power play. He clearly has chemistry with Jarvis, Aho, and Blake, honestly. So as long as he's playing with one of those guys, I think he's going to be fine.
Exactly. But Sam, you do have obviously the Patrick Kane goal. I was frustrated with the Patrick Kane goal because that was the goal where our player what was
Cross-checked
cross-checked
four
three
times.
times.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, what the heck? Do your job, like ref, do your job and say that's a cross check.
Yep.
I understand maybe once you don't call it, but three times and you still don't call it, like that's part of you doing your job, and they
Yeah.
didn't.
Nope.
So
Frustrating.
and the Kane goal, I mean, yeah, you could blame that on Slavin. I probably would too. But again, to me, that's another goal Chekhov needs to have. So it's 3-1, and then you have Rasmussen scoring 4-1, and then there's the push. You have Robinson scoring from Robodas and Slavin. Robodas, I mean, 2 games, 2 points, not bad. But I don't see him on the same level as like a Jackson Blake type
No.
of player.
No, but you never know. Again, these younger guys will just have to wait and see what they develop into.
Yep. I mean, here's the thing. I love Robidas. This is not to throw shade at him. And right now, currently, I really don't know what the situation is with the injuries that Chicago has. But if Yaska was healthy, I honestly would bring him up over Robidas. Again, I'm not saying Robidas is a bad player, but
Yep.
Yaska has that NHL experience. So it was just to me a little bit baffling, when you don't bring up a guy who's had NHL experience and has looked pretty decent. Like he's an NHL player in my opinion. Is he a fourth line no more than fourth line player? Yeah, but at least he's depth. We
Yeah.
just don't know with Robidas.
No, I'll just have to wait and see. Like I said, it's a wait and see thing, and just again, maybe just getting some of these guys opportunities and looks.
Yeah,
While
but he
you're
has looked good. I'll give him credit. I will
yeah, he
give
has
him
looked
where
good.
credit's
We'll
due.
just wait and see what happens.
Yes, and then you have Burns scoring Sam from Rozovic and Slavin, and that made things really interesting.
Yep,
But
but it
then
didn't matter.
now it didn't because Detroit was able to score on the empty net, which is DeBrincat, and Detroit won against Carolina. I think right after the game we put on the Washington game, I believe, too, because we were trying to see if Ovechkin was going to break it that
Yep.
game, but he didn't. But I mean, the Detroit game, I'm like, okay, I'm fine with us losing just because of how we won against Washington. But Sam, now comes the Boston game,
Yep. If you want to call
and
it that, yeah.
this was frustrating. Again, I think it's a mirror of kind of the Detroit game. Obviously, you have Anderson playing this game because that's how it's been. It's rotation of goalies and Kachekov and Anderson. And to be honest, I think if Ovechkin did not, well, I think it probably would have been Anderson's turn anyways against Washington because we do play against Buffalo on
Yep.
Tuesday.
Yep.
So I, I forgot about the Buffalo game, but if we didn't have that Buffalo game, I probably would have played Anderson against Washington. But with Ovechkin already breaking the record,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. So, but
Play
and
whoever
the
you want.
reason, yeah, but the reason was because we just did not want Ovechkin to break his record against us. And I'm sure no Hurricanes fan wants to see that.
No, I don't think the
So
Islanders fans wanted to see it.
no, I'm sure, but there were a lot of Ovies chants. So
Yep. Oh yeah, there were a lot of Caps fans there, just like there were a lot of Caps fans in Raleigh.
true, very very true. But Sam, the Boston game, boy, first period, you have two former Hurricanes scoring. Sam, you have Morgan Geekie scoring his 28th goal, and you have Elias Lindholm scoring. And to me, the Morgan Geekie goal, that was a bad goal to give up because I was like, Anderson, dude, you got to stop that. Now, I
I would
think
argue.
Burns should
I would
have
argue
done
this
more.
game. Say, I would argue this game. Anderson was atrocious.
Yeah, he was. I would say the Geekie goal, he should have stopped. And I would
Yep.
say the what was it, the first Pasternak goal, the one that kind of made Anderson get out of his position and
Yeah.
scored from an unbelievable angle. Wasn't that the first Pasternak goal, I believe? I
First or
think it
second.
was
Yeah.
first or second. Yeah,
He
but
scored a third.
oh yes, Pasternak scored a hat trick, and then the second goal to me, I thought that was more of a defensive breakdown than it was on Anderson.
Yeah.
Like we had the puck and we just let them take it.
I agree.
Boy, just bad. Pasternak scores in the second, and he gets the hat trick in the third with two goals. I believe it was the second goal, Sam, that Pasternak scored where I don't really fault anybody on because it was a
Yep.
tip.
Yep.
Like I'm just like, what the world, you know? I mean, can
I
you
agree.
blame Anderson on that?
No, 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 no. I don't. I just, in general, I think he had a bad night, and I think it
I do
brings up
too.
some concerns that Anderson cannot sustain the good play.
Well,
We'll
so
see what he does in his next game, but it
That's
brings
going
up
to be the most
concern.
important game, I think. And it's going to be against Washington.
Yep. It's all right. So can he sustain this? If not, you go into the playoffs with two goaltenders who are a little icky right now. But you're going up against a team that I think you can outscore your problems against because I don't think the Devils are in a much better situation.
No, they're not. But
They have a good
if
goalie,
you're
but I
just
think their
talking
offense
about,
and their defense
uh,
are pretty rough right now.
yeah, well, I think if you're just talking about goaltending, if you're heading into the playoffs with two cold goalies, and I get playoffs are a totally separate thing from the regular season. I completely get that, but it's not encouraging heading into the playoffs to see both goalies not doing well. And
Not
it
at all.
does raise some doubt. Now, I've always thought this team was a second round exit. I know there are people like you, Sam, that think Washington is a fake and they're going to
Fraud.
get or fraud or whatever, and
Yep.
they're going to get eliminated. But I'm also like, you never know. It's the playoffs. We've always been caught with surprises before in the playoffs. So, I mean, Carolina against a team like Washington, I think there's a path for us to beat them. It's just I just don't know with this roster because the way I see it is I think you have only two top of the lineup players. Heading into the season, I thought we had a star player in Aho, but I'm kind of bringing him down to a top of the lineup type of player because I don't think Aho, even though he hasn't been playing bad, I don't think Aho's been playing like he has been in previous seasons.
So I view
Wouldn't you
Aho
agree?
like I've said before. Aho is an all-star. He is not a superstar.
Well, I don't
That's
think he's been
that's always
playing
been
any
my
type of star this season.
well. That's just always been my definition of Aho is he's an all-star, just not a superstar. And I think there are some players who are superstars. I think Eric Stahl was a superstar because you look what he did. He's doing basically what Aho did, except he did it with less. So just
Yeah,
imagine
he did do it
if
with less.
you take Eric Stahl and Eric Stahl prime, stick him on this roster. Just imagine what he'd do. So that's just that's just how I view it. I mean, Aho's an all star. I think he's great, and I think he's been getting more hate than he deserves this season. I think the criticism is fair. I think some of the fans calling for his head is a bit ridiculous, but uh,
I do think that's ridiculous, but I mean, this is a player that has been way above a point per game. Um, this
yeah,
past
no,
season.
he has absolutely had a down year, and we'll just have. I think getting him an all star to play alongside him and Jarvis is a very important thing that needs to happen this offseason.
Well, they have the money,
Yep.
so they need to do it. I've always thought this team could be a lot better. And
Yep.
another thing too, I mean, this team on paper was a lot better than this team. Sorry, well, I would say this team on paper last year is a lot better than this team right now on paper, and they didn't get past the second round. That's
Yep.
part of the reason why I just see this team as a second round exit. And I'm not really going to blame management. I'm not going to probably blame Brendan Moore. It's the roster. That's just how
Yeah,
I see it for this season.
I
And
agree.
I'm telling you, it's been. I mean, you look at this season as a whole, Sam. I mean, we came in with tempered expectations. We didn't think this team was going to be as good as last season, but they had that hot start, and
Yep.
us fans were like, "Oh, looks like they're playing like they did last season." And I think management caught that as well, which is why they tried to get Miko Rantanen.
Yeah, I agree.
Management thought this team was better than it actually was.
Yep. We'll
And
see. This offseason is really going to be the time to do that, and it's officially Nikishin watch. So, that is a massive part of this future.
it is. If Orlov gets hurt, listen, I love Mora. I really do. But if he does officially come over and there's one injury on the blue line, I think you have to put Nikishkin in over Morrow, especially if it's before the playoffs.
Well, I think Nikishin's going to get some reps in some games before the playoffs. 100%.
Yeah, because Brendan Moore is eventually going to start resting guys.
Mhm.
But
Once we lock in that
it's
second
definite.
goal, we can't beat Washington. It's like, okay, yeah, all right. It's going to be like, all right, Slavin, you're off tonight. Jarvis or Chatfield, you're off tonight. Orlov, you're off tonight. Walker, you're off tonight. Gostisbehere, you're off tonight. And then you're just going to end
I
as
give
you keep
Brent.
resting guys.
Out of all the players, I give Brent Burns a break.
They're not going to cut.
First.
They're not going to scratch. And they're not going to scratch him.
I know.
He's got the Iron Man streak. They're not going to do it.
I know they're not, but
Look,
I think it
and if
helped his
Burns starts
performance.
to become a liability in the playoffs, you just bench him in the playoffs because the Iron Man streak does not account for playoff games.
Well, that's good, but I mean, I think Burns has been. Boston Detroit game probably not been doing good. I don't think did good in both games, but neither did Slavin. Both of them were -5 against Boston, Sam.
Yeah.
That's like a yikes moment. I am willing to say Slavin did terrible against Boston, and I love Slavin.
He did terrible, but again, I really think a lot of this game's on Freddie too, because I thought we looked good. Freddie was bad, and Swayman was elite tonight that game. So, and that happened.
You knew Boston was going to win a game eventually. Like they lost 10 games in a row.
Yeah, and it was only a matter of time, and we happened to play them at the end of that stretch. So.
But you have Buffalo Tuesday.
Concerning myself. Yeah, and I'm not concerning myself.
You got. I would listen. I know again, it's not an important game, but you have to. You have to win a couple games here in this final stretch of games. You just can't go on a huge losing streak. I just can't accept that with this team. I know these games are meaningless. Heck, you and I are both at that point where we're like, we just want to see playoff hockey at this point. Can the season end early?
Yeah, I know, right?
Especially with the way the Canes are playing. So,
yep.
Oh man, but Sam, those were the 2 losses. We'll see if they bounce back against Buffalo, and then Sam, I don't know what we're going to expect with the Washington game. It's going to be interesting.
It'll be dirty. It'll be nasty.
Yeah, it could be even more dirtier than it was a week ago.
Yeah,
so
we'll see.
Yep, and then you have Rangers and Toronto, which is a back-to-back homestand there. Then they finish the season in Montreal and in Ottawa. So it's interesting that the Hurricanes will be facing in their last 2 games the wild card teams, most likely.
Yep. We'll see what happens. It's hockey. You never know.
Yeah, you really never know.
Put the dagger in the Rangers season.
Oh, man, I'm going to be so happy once the Rangers get eliminated. I hope they get eliminated.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? It's in Montreal's hands.
It is, and I think Montreal can do it. And Rangers still have a tough schedule. We already went through that in a previous episode. So that's going to be it for this episode. So we will see you guys Friday.